All right, guys, welcome in. We are going to be doing our Marvel Rivals Vanguard tier list. We're going to split this into three. So we're going to do the Vanguards, DPS, and Strategists separately. If this is your first time here, I have spent the last month finishing a to Z challenge. So I've played every single hero in Marvel Rivals to a competitive level, and I had to get wins before I could move on. So I think while I may not be Grandmaster and one above all, I have played a lot of this game, and I think I can provide maybe some insight. But quick disclaimer, this is obviously just my opinion. This is how I feel about playing the characters. So there's going to be a mix of whether I think they're good in the meta and whether I like playing them as well. So this is purely opinion-based. You are completely welcome to agree or disagree. But let's keep it civil. Let's keep it nice in the comments, all right? This is just how I feel about the characters. And this is season 0 as well. So obviously, I wanted to put this out before season 1 kind of changes everything with buffs and nerfs. And then we'll do a revised one in season 1. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first, we're going to kick off with Hulk. I think Hulk is really good. And I'm going to put him in S for one reason. Because I think his team-ups are absolutely insane. We've all been ruined by this kind of Iron Man Hulk meta. His Doctor Strange combo as well is really, really good. I think in general, his team-ups are amazing. But aside from that, as a standalone hero, I think he can apply a lot of pressure. He can be a good dive tank, and he can soak a lot as well. The only downside that I really have with him is his transformations feel kind of useless. When you go back into Banner, 9 times out of 10, if you're in a position where you've been, I don't know what the term is, deconstructed, I suppose, you're going to get just done. The kind of the static bit of his transformation means that there's pretty much no way you're going to get out of it. You can throw a nade, sure. If you don't get immediate backup, and I mean like cloak bubble immediately, you're dying 9 times out of 10 when you transform back into Banner. So it feels like there isn't a huge amount of counterplay there. I think in terms of how he plays out and how he functions in team comps, I think he can be super, super strong. He allows for really good comps built around him. And I think he can arguably do both solo tank and I think he can duo tank really effectively as well. He naturally applies a lot of pressure, and his ultimate, while definitely not being the best, you can still output quite a lot of damage. I don't think he's necessarily as kill hungry as some of the other tanks. He just naturally applies a lot of pressure by jumping in and out. And if you really want to be utilizing that jump, I think his mobility is what makes him really, really solid. And you can peel for your backliners really effectively as well, you know? You can dive in, apply a bunch of pressure, and then jump straight back to your backliners so that when they try and do the same to you, you're there to peel for your supports and stuff. So I think for that and his team ups alone, I'm putting him in S tier for season 0. I don't think a lot of people may disagree with me on that as a standalone tank, but you know, as I said, this is my opinion. Oh, Cap. We're going to put him in C for Cap. I think a good Cap can apply a lot of pressure, but he's very one-dimensional. I don't think he provides a huge amount as a frontline tank. He's obviously meant to be this mobility dive tank, but he just doesn't have the damage. I think 9 times out of 10, you know, when you're diving on supports, a good Luna, a good Mantis, you're going to get slept and frozen before you can even do anything to them. A good Jeff is just going to dive straight in, pop a bubble, knock you back, and dive straight in. I think it is very hard to get these kills. I think his damage is pretty woeful. And I know that he's getting buffs in season 1, so obviously this might change. But I think he is pretty he's pretty crap. C for crap, C for crappy captain. I don't think he offers a lot. I have seen some insane caps, and I think he's very good at running down. But the problem is his damage output is so slow that by the time you've run down maybe one support, the rest of your team have just been completely pushed back because you're not there as a frontline. He absolutely cannot solo tank. I think sometimes maybe in a dual tank you can make it work if your other tank is really effective, and you can just then focus on applying pressure in the backline. I don't see why you would take him over anyone else right now. So I think, unfortunately, Cap is a bit of a C tier for me. Doc Strange, I don't think anyone can disagree with this. I think Doc Strange is the best hero in the game right now. Excuse me. Not best hero, sorry. Best tank in the game. I don't think there's any doubt on this one. I think if I put him anywhere else, there would be a massive outcry on this tier list. His portal utility alone is exceptional, particularly for domination and for control points. Just being able to bypass, especially if they're running like a front to back pump, just being able to use a portal to get behind them and force them to try and turn around and maybe catch people out of position is really effective. We've all seen it on Clintar, right? We see it all the time. His shield is incredibly effective. The tech of being able to weave in melees in between it, as well as your auto attacks in between. The instant cooldown of that shield is crazy. Just pop it straight up and down. It's got a good amount of HP. He's got good damage output. I think his E is also really good, especially when teamed up with Hulk. I think is also really good. And his ultimate is crazy. I mean, just for completely, you can use it in so many different ways. But it is a really, really good combo ult as well. Which makes him a really effective tank. You're on the front lines. You're soaking up a lot of damage anyway. Whether you use portal tech or however you use to get into the back line, whether you use your flight as well, which we'll talk about, to kind of drop in on players and get like 3 or 4 people caught within the ult. The E does extra damage if you can get that off as well. So if you prime it right, you can just absolutely destroy a team fight with one ultimate. I don't think he has much of a weakness right now as a vanguard. So, I can't see this changing, particularly in Season 1 either. I don't think they're doing anything to Doc Strange. I don't think they're giving him any nerfs, so I can't see why this would change. But he is definitely the top-rated tank right now. He just offers everything that you need. Groot! Oh, man. I love Groot, dude. Groot is one of my fave tanks. I genuinely love playing him. I'm going to put Groot in A because Groot can do, in my opinion, what no other tank can do. His walls are so effective at isolation. If you think about how this game plays out, healing is so effective in this game. It's so strong. Arguably, I think supports are actually the most impactful role, but I'll get onto that when we do the support tier list. So being able to isolate tanks from their healers using these walls, because nearly all heals rely on line of sight, right? Maybe with the exception of like Cloak Bubble or a Jeff Bubble. But most healing that needs to come from the healers is by line of sight. So if you block that off and you are effectively communicating, you can isolate tanks and punish them super hard for any slight mispositioning. So aside from that factor, which is something else that I don't think any other tank can do, he also has really good damage. His left click is insane damage. He has one of the best combo ultimates in the game, if not the single best combo ultimate in the game. I have had so many games ruined by a Groot Moon Knight combo where they just Groot you all in, Moon Knight over the top, and it's absolutely unplayable. Like, I mean, there is just no counterplay to that at all. You can even pop like a Mantis ult or Luna ult and you're still all probably dying anyway, right? So he just, as a tank, he has a little bit of everything. He's just very slow moving. So obviously, it's quite hard to peel for your backline or peel for your supports. You can do a little bit of work with either with the ultimate, which you don't really want to waste for that, but or with walls, but he's very slow and lumbering. But as a frontline tank, he is incredibly good. And more to the point, I think his damage output is insane. Excuse me. Especially with the walls, right? Because you get the damage from the walls as well. You pop a wall behind someone, you can do insane DPS. So I think Groot is A tier for that reason. I particularly enjoy playing him. He's definitely one of my mains. But I think he just offers a lot in terms of the way that the game is played. And the reason why I put him in A tier more than anything is because Groot is one of those heroes that when you pick him, he completely changes how the game is played. You have to accommodate for a Groot being on the board because otherwise you are going to get fucked completely. So that's why I think he's really strong. Let's go to Magneto. Now, people are going to get mad at me for this, right? And I know they are. People are going to get super mad, right? I hate Magneto. Anyone who's watched my A to Z challenge or watched when I did it, you will know this already. I think this hero sucks donkey balls, to be perfectly honest. I think for me, I'm putting him in B for boring. I found him by far, out of every one of the 33 heroes I played, he was by far the most boring to play. He was so dull. And I personally feel, and again, people are going to disagree with this, I think they've done Magneto really dirty in this game. Don't get me wrong, I think his right click can be really useful occasionally. He's obviously got his bubbles, which the invulnerability is really nice. The uptime on the curtain to absorb all projectiles is kind of nice. But I just felt like the way that this game is played a lot of the time, there is a lot of dive. There is a lot of melee characters, which the curtain does nothing against for a start, right? So if you're in the middle of a shitfest of a team fight, yeah, you might save yourself against a Hela or a Hawkeye for a little bit. But if you've got a Wolverine diving on you, if you've got a Black Panther or anything diving on you, you don't have a lot of counterplay apart from your bubble. You maybe get 1 or 2 seconds and then that's it. The reason I don't like Magneto is I think his ultimate is dog shit compared to all of the other ones. I mean, you compare like his big ball or whatever, you throw that down, the most I ever got was 3 kills with it. That was the absolute most, and that was a dream scenario. More often than not, you're not even getting a kill with it. And if you do, you sometimes just get 1 kill because it doesn't have a massive AoE. And the nature of the game is it's quite spread out a lot of the time, you know. So I feel like his ultimate is really underwhelming. And yes, it gets really good if people shoot it. But then, especially at higher ranks, people just learn not to shoot it. So you don't get any extra damage from it. And yes, you do get it back quickly, but I think it's really underwhelming. I think his damage is really underwhelming. He is basically he is in the similar vein of Groot. He is just this very slow, methodical moving tank who can do a lot of damage absorption. He can really soak up a lot, but he doesn't really offer anything in the counter. Do you know what I mean? And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me. I know Magneto has played a lot at really high level. I personally hated playing him. I felt the design was really boring. I feel like the way the character feels is really boring. And he's just basically shoot everything at me, soak everything at me. Cool. I will tickle you with my little pity damage. And I might get 1 kill with my ultimate. You compare that to something like a Groot ult, which can easily group up 5 people in one go. And very rarely you're going to get less than 3 people with a Groot ult, unless you're really bad. I just feel he's really underwhelming. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that. And that's why I said at the top of this, this is my opinion. Okay, this is just my opinion. Peni Parker. Peni Parker is A tier for me. I suck at her, so I'm gonna say this right now. I'm gonna hold my hands up and say I suck at Peni Parker. Right? I understand how she functions. I just couldn't do it. Right? She's not my kind of hero. She is the best single anti-dive champ, with the exception of Namor. I think she's the second best. She might even be as good as, to be honest, if not. Do you know what? I'm going to stick with my original. She's the best anti-dive character in the game. Hands down. The mines, the spider nest, is so effective at control points. I think it's a bit more difficult for Peni on payload maps. Because obviously a lot of her kit is designed around the static defense, right? It's this place down your spider nest, place down a bunch of webs, hold out these chokes with mines and spider mines and stuff, and use your web to stop people and block them off, right? But the amount of control she gives you is insane. I would say especially on the Wakanda maps. on that, I can't remember, the Bast Wakanda map. I can't remember the proper name for it. That trying to hit that first point is so hard against the Peni Parker. She's so good in these small chokes, and there's quite a lot of them on maps. Same on Clintar on the Symbiosis map. I think she is insane. And I think the best part of her kit, which is going to sound crazy, is the web. Her right-click web is a 3-second cooldown for a stun. And it can also, you know, it can also be used as a get out of jail free card, right? I think she's fucking nuts. And she's a good Peni Parker, can absolutely 1v9 a game. 1v12 a game. 1v11, whatever you want to call it. She can solo carry a game. And I've seen it many, many times. I think her ult is a little bit underwhelming. And is quite easy to kind of just kite out and block off. But her utility and makes more than up for it. I think the only downside with Peni is she is quite susceptible and quite easy to burst comparatively to the others. She doesn't really... her only defensive capability, really, apart from all of her static defense, is the web to stop people going on her. But she's got big hitbox. She's quite easy to burst down from range if you kind of pump damage into her. So she's a bit weaker, I think, in that side. But the amount of control she offers is just second to none. I think she's insane. Thor, my boy. This also might be quite controversial because I think a lot of people have differing opinions on Thor. I'm almost tempted to put Thor in S, but I'm not going to for one reason, and that's his ultimate. I genuinely think Thor is actually really, really good. I'm going to talk about this quite a lot as we go through the heroes. I think people are misunderstanding how Marvel Rivals should be played as a game, right? Kills don't matter in Marvel Rivals nearly as much as you think they do. This is a game about pressure, about spacing, and about objective control. One thing that Thor does really, really well is he is exceptional at causing pressure to backlines. Right, as well as, and he can 1v1 a lot of tanks, right? His bonus health that you get on using any of the Thor Force can be really good, especially if you use his dash. I think his hammer throw dash, not his right click, his shift ability, is arguably one of the most underrated abilities in the game. I think it is really strong, actually. So it's a really good escape tool. You get a little bit of bonus health to get out. I'm a Thor player myself. I like him very much. Maybe I'm a little bit biased here. The amount of peel that you can have as well. His mobility allows him, and it's similar to a way that I was talking about with Hulk. I think his mobility allows him to peel for his backline really effectively as well. I do think he struggles a bit as a solo tank because you really want to be relying on that mobility to kind of pressure their backline, create that space, and create a bit more objective control, depending on what the objective is. And then you also want to be diving back when you dive forward and they try and take that space from you as you go forward. You can then just peel straight back and kind of cause the enemy team to be out of position quite easily. I think his hammer throw is kind of dog shit. I'd never use it. I use it maybe to finish people off if I don't have my shift up, but 9 times out of 10 I will use my shift. I think his E is kind of nice to get his Thor Force back, but realistically, if you're playing Thor right, you don't really need your E that much because you will get Thor Force back from just hammering people in the face. He has no movement penalty on his melee, which no one talks about, and I think is insane, by the way. So when you're running at people, you have no movement penalty for just running full pelt at them and hammering them in the face. So you fly on them, you get in their face, and if they don't have a peel tool like a freeze or a sleep available, you just wail on them, and there is nothing they can do. Nothing. You can just keep wailing. And then obviously, once you get your full Thor Force, you just pop your Ascendancy, or your Ascent, whatever they call it. You get a massive chunk of bonus HP, and you do insane DPS. Insane DPS. And the only reason that he's not an S tier for me is because, excuse me, is because his ultimate sucks. I think it's a very easy ultimate to walk out of. It can be very effective at finishing off kills if you use it right. So let's say you go on a Mantis or something, you've hammered them a few times and they sleep you. Once you get out of sleep, you can dive back straight in on them, hammer them a couple of times, and then ult to finish them off or something like that. It can be a good kind of zone tool a little bit because people don't really want to stand in it. It can do a good amount of damage, but I think it is definitely one of the weaker ults, and I would like to see it maybe get a bit of buff. But I think Thor is actually really, really strong and is arguably my favorite tank to play because of that. I think his team ups are not great, but that's mainly because I think Storms is shit anyway. But I think Cap is just a bad hero, but I think the team up is not bad. The team up certainly helps Cap with his damage problems, but I think Cap is just a crap hero anyway. But aside from that, I think Thor is a really, really good tank. Venom. I'm going to put Venom in C. People might not like this. I think Venom is not that good. And obviously this is season 0, right? So we know that Cap and Venom are getting buffs. We know this in season 1. Again, I will make a revised tier list when season 1 comes out. I think in his current state, Venom has been pretty crap. There are some very effective Venom players out there. And he is exceptionally survivable. I think arguably he is one of the most survivable out of any of the tanks. If you play him right, you know. If you use him properly, you've always got a swing out. If you're using his wall climb and stuff to initiate a dive. You've got his E, which is really good at popping a massive shield. You know, he has effective, like he can have an effective like 1500 HP. And that's not to say, that's not talking about his ult shield either. I think his ultimate is really weak. It's great for survivability, but I don't think it really does much outside of just giving you a massive shield and another way out. I also think his left clicks are super janky. There are so many times when it just feels like it doesn't hit because it's these multiple little projectiles rather than one projectile. And because this game is so fast moving, I think it just doesn't register sometimes. And it feels really janky. I have to spend a lot longer trying to get a kill on someone with Venom than with other tanks. So I think he's pretty crap. He is very effective at applying pressure, and he's very effective at taking space. And he, being a mobility tank, he can peel quite a lot with his survivability, but he just doesn't offer anything else. He doesn't offer a lot of damage. He doesn't offer a huge amount of kill threat, in my opinion. Any support worth their salt will be able to kite him out, will be able to sleep him, freeze him, you know, shift out with Cloak and Dagger, or pop your bubble up and then he can't do anything anyway because Cloak's bubble is broken as shit. We'll get to that later. But I think any support with assault is able to kind of avoid him. There are some very effective Venoms out there, don't get me wrong. You could argue that about any hero, but just in general terms, I think Venom is pretty crap as he is right now, which is obviously why he's getting buffs. So this is my tier list for the Vanguards. Let me know what you think. As I said, this is just my opinion, guys. You're absolutely free to argue your case, but let's be civil in comments and stuff. I think some of these probably do change between really high elo and low elo, but this is just my general opinion on how the tanks sit in Season 0. Let me know what you think. And if you want to know what I think on the others, go and check out my other tier lists before the new season rolls around. I'll see you soon. Bye.